Hi everyone, it's Peter. It's been a while since I posted a video and I want everybody to think I fell off the face of the earth, so I wanted to give you a quick update and let you know what I'm up to. The last time I left you, I was powder coating the intake manifold and it came out gorgeous. Everybody who stops by my shop loves it. Came out great. It looked great on top of this motor once I'm done. The last thing I finished with, I said I was working on the cylinder heads. Now what I'm doing is I'm port matching and polishing the cylinder heads and the intake manifold, but what does that mean really? When you buy a stock part, this is an Edelbrock intake manifold. I'm using racing head service heads, and since they're made from different manufacturers, although they're made to certain specifications, they don't line up perfectly all the time. So let me show you what it means first to port match the intake manifold. All motors are different. Ford, Chrysler, Chevys, Ferraris, Jaguars, I've worked on them all, and they all have different steps to do when you're doing the port matching and the polishing. Fords are unique in one regard. You have to have the cylinder head bolted down, and you take the intake manifold and you put it on top and you line up the bolt holes. And then what you're doing is you're taking the gasket, putting it on there, and you're making sure that none of these runners that come through the intake manifold hit the gasket. So you're trying to avoid this situation. You have the fuel injector here, and you don't want the fuel to come down and hit the gasket and cause turbulent flow into the cylinder. That'll cause unequal burning of the fuel, all different temperatures. It'll cause a temperature variation, lose horsepower, make the engine run really, really poor. So what you do is when you put the gasket on, you have it all lined up with the bolt holes. What you essentially do is you can trace it with a marker, or however you do it. You can use Dykem and scribe it. But you want to do is make sure you have the entire area of the opening of the gasket open in the intake manifold. You can see that there are no obstructions on this one right here. They're all done the same. So that's what you do on the intake manifold, and the cylinder head is a little bit different. Let me show you how that works. When you look down the intake runner that matches up to the intake manifold, you can see a few things. First of all, there's a parting line. That parting line goes all the way through, down, in through the combustion chamber area here, and comes all the way back and ends up on the top. So that parting line has got to be removed. That provides a spot, low pressure area for carbon to grab onto if it ever comes back into the intake manifold. With the cam I'm using in this, it's going to have a little overlap, so carbon might get back up in here, and I don't want to have it build up on anything. The second thing you can notice is that it's very porous. The cast aluminum, although Racing Head Service makes a beautiful product, it's hard to avoid this. They use a fine sand, but there still is a very porous surface. So I have to sand down this entire surface inside here all the way down into the combustion chamber, right here where the valve would sit, and all the way down just before the valve seat. So I have to do that just to clean it up. Now the port matching part, you can see here, is all I do is I laid the gasket on here and I colored here in blue with blue marker, and this is the aluminum, or this is the part of the head that I'm going to have to remove so that this matches up perfectly with the intake manifold. That way when the air comes from the intake manifold, it doesn't hit this. If I left this here, the air would come in and hit this and cause turbulence before it goes in here, and it would cause unequal fuel mixture, and it would cause all sorts of problems. So this is the port matching part. I'm matching this to the gasket, and the gasket is already matched up to the intake manifold, so these will both match perfectly together. Let me show you what tools you're going to need to do that. Tools for port matching and polishing are pretty simple. To do the aluminum, cutting out the aluminum to match up with the gasket, I use a burr. You can see it's loaded up with aluminum, but it comes off of there pretty easily. But once you get that done, you got to start sanding it down. You get a mandrel like this. Harbor Freight sells a kit for 30 bucks. You get the couple of mandrels like this. You get a bunch of 80 grit drums like this, a bunch of 180 grit drums just like this, and you get these tapered sanding drums. Will make it easy to get into corners. You can see how you can get them really pointy and really get into corners to sand down and get rid of the parting lines and smooth out that cast surface. So you have that, and of course you could have some buffing stuff. I use these real small felt buff drums along with the white polishing rouge or the white compound for polishing aluminum, and it works excellent. They're expendable. You go through these, so you got to buy a lot of them. So these are just the basic tools for porting and polishing. You can buy them anywhere. Like I said, Harbor Freight's got a kit, and it has pretty much almost everything you need. So what started out as a rough runner after you're finished polishing, looks like this. A nice polished surface. All of the parting lines are removed. The casting surface is nice and polished. This runner took at least 3 hours to polish. Here's one side. You can see it's matched for the gasket. The blue part has been taken out, so it matches. Now this matches the intake manifold, and all of the aluminum right down into the combustion chamber is polished. Very nice and smooth, so that there's no chance for any carbon to stick. The valve opening pretty much the same. Rough casting, parting line, and where it comes into the valve seat, you can see it's very rough ground. And then over here, here's a finished one, polished all the way through. No more parting line, polished right up to the insert for the valve, or the valve seat right there. And that's about what's involved in porting and polishing heads. It takes about, like I said, 3 hours per runner, and there's 8 per cylinder head. That's 16 runners, so you're looking at about 60 hours to port and polish this cylinder heads. The intake manifold took me about 3 or 4 hours, but if you want to do this right, you want high performance out of your motor and your cylinder heads, you take the time, do the job correctly, and you'll be very, very pleased with the results, and it all shows up on the dyno. So that's what's involved with port mashing and polishing your intake manifold, cylinder head, get everything ready to put together. As soon as I'm done with the cylinder heads, got to get them put together, valves, check spring heights, all that kind of thing, and then I can assemble the engine. I might do some work ahead of time, but I'm going to wait until the cylinder heads are done to do that. I've been working on a lot of things. The 85 Mustang project I've been working on. I've been working on my Cobra frame. I've been working on some accidents that came in the shop, so I've been very, very busy. And I'm trying to get videos done as much as I can. If there's anything you'd like to see, let me know. I'd be glad to do it for you. People got requests, and I make a video if I can do it for you. Until then, hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something from that. If you have any questions, just drop me an email. Thanks.